Hi everybody, I'm back with my little Concertina book here, and as I start every time, I'm just looking through some of these pages I like better than others, but I don't think that really matters. The goal is experimentation and working through problems and that sort of thing. And I'm noticing that they're getting a little bit less developed as I go along. These three are just getting started. This one I haven't really done anything with yet. So I like this page, but yeah, I like that page. This page I like quite a bit too, but I feel like it needs a little bit more of a focal point development. And I think that focal point is in this area. And I noticed too, as I page through it, that I'm missing this mustard yellow, or maybe the Naples yellow, something like that. So I pulled this. This is a yellow oxide from Liquitex Basics, and I'm wondering about maybe, just a stamp or something on that. What I was thinking of. And of course, you've heard me say that I cleaned up my studio and I can't find anything anymore here. I wonder if this is an old roll of tape. And sometimes I can get really cool stuff with that. It's a little different size circle than all the other ones, and yet it repeats. So let's give that a try and see what happens. Oops. I apologize for the messier background. I'm going to use this as a palette today. And just see. Now what I'm doing with this, let's see, I need that kind of out of range a little bit for you. I just squirted some paint out and I've got my ring here, and I don't want to stamp complete circles because I think that's kind of predictable and boring. So I'm just going to put some parts of this into there and let's see what happens. Okay, so that's kind of cool. And then I wonder if I shouldn't also open this up a little further. So now I've got wet paint where I would be stretching this out to show you. So I'm thinking about having that maybe, okay, just tiny bits of what's left here. Let's see. And then also I want to change my size. So this is a little pipe left over from a, I think it was a ceiling fan. Let's see. And just kind of bits. Okay, that might have helped quite a bit. Now I'm starting to wonder about maybe a letter on that, but I'm going to need to let this yellow dry and see how the yellow now is echoing this yellow over here. I have so much stuff on my table again because I'm working on many projects at once, of course. So I wanted to pick this up and carry it through, and I think that is occurring successfully with this. Let's see if I can get just a kind of partial rings here. Hints. Flip that over so that it dries because I like that big circle. And I think I'm going to leave that like that for now. And I think that's a pretty good start with this. Maybe if I just kind of see if I can get a little bit more right around here to pick that up. So that's very close to that yellow. So I'm liking how that's working. So what would happen if I carried that through to this side too? Okay, so you hear me saying what if a lot, right? That's part of what being an artist is all about. So let's see, I'm happy with that page, as I said earlier. This page, it still needs something. I think maybe a pop, either white or black, and I'm feeling like a letter, some kind of text, as I have used, I haven't used that in this, that's interesting. Well, I used a 7. That is a motif that very often pops up for me. I'm really interested in typography and text and different fonts and how they show up. So you oftentimes see handwriting and bits of pieces from magazines and stenciled on letters and numbers. I'm wondering, let's see, I just saw something over here that caught my eye. It's this, look at these marks right here. I wonder if I should just make some marks with like a black paint pen or something. Let's see. I have a couple of those. These are the most common ones, I think, that we see out there, Posca pens, and they come in much bigger nibs than what we realize if you just look at Amazon. So what if that paint is still wet, but I'm not that married to this that I really care. So what if I kind of tie that into that a little bit, and then maybe up to here, and then trying to make this my focal point. That would be my lightest light, darkest dark, possibly. Varying my line width a bit. Okay, that just made that a whole lot more interesting to me. Hoping I'm on camera for you. I really did goof myself up with that wet paint on that paper. So there's my latest page then. I think that helped a lot. I think I want a little bit more black over here. So let's see, what does the page before it? That wouldn't hurt that to carry that through there a little bit. So let's see if I can do this without, you know what I'm gonna do? Because this is getting to be a problem. So I'm going to take a couple of pieces of scratch paper and put them over the wet paint on this. And then hopefully find some that aren't too much of a mess, because I know that's distracting when you're looking at a video. Okay, so now I can put that in the center of the workspace a little bit more. Run that off the edge of the table. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy with this page. A little bit of a focal point, you know, a little bit more black might not hurt here. So what if I kind of did something like I was doing there, bring it down into this white a little bit, and bring it over into here just a little. I don't want to distract too much from that, but I want to repeat it. Repetition's always, there's more black marks there, so maybe my in frame here with this now. I'm also excited to tell you that in a couple of days I'm going to be receiving a microphone, so I should be able to improve the quality of my audio on these recordings. So I think that that will be good. Okay, that I think helped that. That helped this one tremendously. So I'm going to let those two be for now. And let's look at this next group of pages, or this next page here. This. It's an interesting start, but it really has a ways to go still, it seems like to me. And what do I want to do with it? Interestingly enough, this green is not bothering me as much as it had in the past, but I feel like maybe some turquoise would be good in there. Wonder about, maybe I'll grab a stencil for that. Wonder where I hid my stencils on myself. Well, I thought I was really smart cleaning up this studio. Here they are. Yay. Okay, let's see. I'm thinking, so should I go with something really big? Let's see. That would be a B there. I think that says business. So what if I added part of a B? Like that idea. Try not to think about it too much, because thinking is not necessarily the best way to experiment. And And here is this, I think this is the aqua that I've been using, turquoise blue. That's a little bit darker than what I've used in the past, but that could be interesting too. So let's see. And I like to use those little sponge thingies for stenciling. These were just super cheap things that I picked up at Walmart. They have a sponge at the end, and if you clean them out, they are reusable. Let's see. I like to turn these letters in ways that are a little bit unexpected too. So how about something like that? Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want your sponge to be not too wet and your paint to be not too wet, or else it kind of squoozes underneath the, there's a good technical term, squooze, moves underneath the stencil. And you lose your hard edges, which, you know, maybe isn't a problem at all. Can be interesting as well. Another thing that I oftentimes do is to let the paint kind of fade off when I use a stencil, so I don't fill the area completely or with the same darkness of paint each time. Now I've got quite a bit of paint on this, so what if I use that to, I'm going to go down to the end here, which is off of your screen, but I'm just pushing that stencil upside down, the pencil's underneath there, onto the onto an available page to help start to build texture and layers there. All right, so that looks good. That rolled in the paint, of course. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. How about, and what can be cool too is to use different sizes, you know, varying sizes with the repetition. So what if I, something like this, but not with, I don't want it too dark over here. Well, or maybe I do want it dark over here. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Then what if I, that's the same sound, so let's do this. I'm trying to, at this point, I don't have a ton of paint on my sponge. And that's kind of what I'm after, is to let these things fade off a little bit. Okay. There's the rest of that paint off on another page. And let's see. That helped quite a bit with that. All right. Let's see what's happening down this way a little bit more. My sponge in the water. Oh, I've got a thing in the way here to, excuse me for moving my book off the table edge on this side. Give things a chance to dry. That is one sure way to stick your pages together so they never come apart if you close them up with wet paint on them still. Okay, so I'm gonna let that page that I just put the stencils on dry a bit. And what can I do with this page? Maybe, a bit more of that yellow maybe. With some matte medium or gloss medium, whichever one I find first. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing either one, but I have some glazing fluid here. It's very strange that they're not both here, because the glazing fluid has an extender in it, so it takes longer to dry, so that is not really ideal for this application, but that's what I can find. And I don't want to make you wait while I rummage through my studio. So does this happen to you guys? Tell me in the comments. You tidy up your studio and then you can't find anything? I have such good intentions when I start this kind of thing. And now I just don't know what I was even thinking. So I know someone asked me earlier in the in this series about how I mixed this mustard yellow, and I know the first time that I used it, I mixed it, but I was going to make a video to talk about how I mix that. And what I usually do when I'm looking for a color in that way is to find whatever tube of color I have already that's close. And it's this yellow oxide. And look at, I mean, it's the same color. So I don't know, I must have just missed it last time when I did that. And now I've got this wet paint underneath here. Just going to redeposit on the other side of that if I'm not careful. And more of it there. So I'm just gonna continue to extend some of this yellow onto some of these other pages since I've got it out. And those will become more obvious as I move along. So this is kind of my MO as I start. You know, I'm focusing on a page that is got things happening and that's getting closer. And then as I have leftover paint, I move it along as I have, I should add a little bit of that right here. Let's see. Look at that, that's dry enough. I got away with that. Okay, that helped too, I think. So we create continuity through the book by using the same colors, by extending out. So just as an example, I mean, I have absolutely no plan with what I'm doing here with this. I'm just dropping some of this extra paint onto these pages that are continuing on. So I think I've developed the pages that are ready to be developed more as far as I can until the paint dries. I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to take the rest of this paint that I have loose and just drop it onto some extra pages, and I'll see you next time.